Okay, so let's unpack this. Imagine, if you will, music that's been remembered, actively remembered, for over 1,500 years.
That's quite a thought.
Right. Music that was alive and well long before, Mozart or Bach were even conceived.
Mm-hmm.
The material we're digging into today introduces us to exactly that. It's called Zema, the sacred sound of Ethiopian Orthodox worship.
And the sources describe it beautifully, don't they? Not just melody, but prayer, prophecy.
Yeah, like heaven speaking through sound.
Yeah.
It's pretty profound stuff.
It really is. So this deep dive, we're focusing entirely on the insights from the sources you mentioned.
Right.
Our goal really is to get a handle on Zema. What is it? Where did it come from? What about the instruments?
And the people who carry it.
Yeah.
Right. That seems crucial.
Absolutely. Who keeps this alive, and why is it considered so incredibly sacred, so powerful within the church?
And the picture painted, well, it's immediately different from maybe what some people think of as worship. Not silent contemplation, necessarily.
No, quite the opposite. The sources emphasize rhythm, movement, music. Something that's echoed across Ethiopia for, over a millennium.
It's less about just talking to God and more about chanting, singing, praising.
Right.
Using sound actively.
Exactly. And Zema is right at the heart of that. It's described as the very soul of the liturgical music in Tewahedo worship.
So let's peel that back. What is Zema, fundamentally? It sounds like it's much more than just catchy tunes.
Oh, much deeper. This isn't simply melody in our usual sense. Zema is chant, but it's packed with theology, spiritual weight, ancient tradition.
Okay.
The actual Gia's word Zema means melody or song, sure, but in this context it carries this richer meaning, a prayer sung from the soul.
A prayer sung from the soul, that changes everything.
It really does. That spiritual depth is what makes it distinct.
And here's something the sources really hammered home for me, something truly mind-bending. Zema isn't written down, ever.
That's correct. It's purely 100% an oral tradition.
How does that even work over centuries?
It's passed down generation to generation, by ear, by voice, by heart. You don't learn it from a page. You remember it, you live it.
So the act of remembering and passing it on is part of its sacredness.
Precisely. It's seen as an offering, something carried inside the person. It suggests that, true sacred knowledge might be something embodied, not just documented on paper.
Wow. A living, breathing tradition in the truest sense. Now, the sources mention 3 main types or forms of Zema.
Yes, 3 distinct forms, and each has its purpose, aligned with the church's calendar and the spiritual mood.
Okay, what are they?
First, there's Gias. Think solemn, steady, kind of majestic. It's foundational.
Right, a sort of baseline gravitas.
You could say that. Then you have Easel. This one is sorrowful, contemplative. It's used during really solemn times like Holy Week or at funerals. The sound reflects that grief, that deep thought.
Makes sense. Tailored to the moment.
Exactly. And finally, there's Ra. This is the joyful one. Soaring, celebratory. You hear this during the big festivals and joyous seasons.
So the music itself guides you through the year's spiritual journey.
That's a great way to put it. The sonic landscape isn't flat, it's dynamic. It shapes the experience of worship throughout the liturgical year.
It's an incredible structure. Sound mapped directly onto time and spiritual feeling. But where did something this ancient and structured actually start? The sources point to one person, way back in the 6th century.
That's right. The entire tradition, remarkably, is attributed to one figure, Saint Yared.
Saint Yared.
The story goes he developed this huge body of music after years of prayer, study, and then this key moment of divine inspiration.
And there's that famous story about how he got that inspiration, isn't there? The sources mentioned it.
Yes, it's a really central narrative. Apparently, he was struggling a lot with his studies, felt like a failure. Then he supposedly watched a caterpillar trying and failing and trying again to climb a plant until it finally succeeded. That perseverance really struck him.
So the caterpillar basically told him to keep going.
In a way, yes. It motivated him to go back to his studies. And then, shortly after, while he was praying, tradition says an angel came down.
An angel?
An angel, and taught him the melodies of heaven, directly.
Okay, wait. An angel teaching him tunes? That completely elevates it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This isn't just human skill then, it's presented as revelation.
That's exactly the implication. It's why the music is held as so sacred. He then took these divinely revealed melodies and organized them into those three modes we talk about, giz, easel, array.
Creating the whole system.
Yes, linking the music directly to the divine rhythm, you could say. And that system became the absolute bedrock of all Ethiopian Orthodox liturgical music. It's still used today for the core services, the kudus, processions, big feast days.
So he's not just a composer they remember. He's like foundational to the sound of the faith itself.
Far more than a composer. The sources call him a prophet of sound, someone who literally opened the church's ears to heavenly music right here on earth.
Prophet of sound. I like that.
It underlines the belief that Zema isn't just art. It's a sacred gift, a direct line to the divine.
And this sound, it isn't purely vocal, is it? There are specific sacred instruments involved.
Very specific ones. And they aren't just background music, they're active participants, each loaded with spiritual meaning. The main one you'll often hear is the Kebero.
That's the big drum, right? The ceremonial one?
Correct. A large, double-headed drum played with both hands. And its symbolism is, well, quite beautiful. The rhythm is said to mirror the human heartbeat.
Oh, interesting.
So it grounds the chant in our physical reality, the body, the earth, while at the same time driving the sound upwards towards heaven. You hear it a lot in processions, feast days, celebratory chants.
Connecting the earthly and the divine through rhythm. Makes sense. What else? The sistrum was mentioned.
The sistrum, yes, or sonatzel. It's that handheld metal rattle, shaken rhythmically.
What's its role?
Its sound is considered potent. It's said to drive away demons and call the worshipers into a state of holy joy.
Drive away demons.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, like clearing the spiritual air, making way for the sacred, ushering in celebration.
Powerful symbolism. And the third one was the mequamia.
The mequamia, that's the long wooden prayer staff. Priests and the Debteras, will get to them, use it.
What's it do? Just keep time?
It does help keep the rhythm during the long services, which is important. But it also symbolizes the shepherd's crook.
Like Christ the Good Shepherd.
Exactly. A constant reminder, visually and rhythmically, of Christ guiding his flock.
What really struck me, though, was the emphasis that these instruments are only used for worship. Strictly.
Absolutely critical point. You'll never find these used outside a sacred service. Their purpose is 100% not entertainment. It's about communion with God.
So every beat, every rattle,
every tap of the staff, woven in with the chant, it is prayer. The whole sound-making process within the church walls is elevated to something deeply sacred and intentional.
It totally reframes how you think about music and worship.
Yeah.
Okay, so who are the people who actually master all this complex, unwritten tradition?
That brings us to a really special group, the Debteras.
Debteras.
They're described as highly trained liturgical artists. They're distinct from the priests and deacons, the ordained clergy, but they are absolutely essential to the church's life and worship.
So what do they actually do? It sounds like more than just singing and playing.
Oh, much more. They're incredibly multifaceted. Musicians, yes, definitely, but also poets, sometimes healers in a traditional sense, and crucially, they are the living libraries, the keepers of this immense oral tradition.
So they hold the memory of the Zema.
They do. While they aren't ordained for sacraments, their training and their role, especially in big festivals and processions, are central.
And the training must be intense.
Incredibly rigorous. The sources say Debteras spend years, sometimes, decades, in church schools. They have to master the entire body of Zema music.
Which is huge, presumably.
Immense. And it's not just the music. They master other related sacred arts, too.
Like what other skills?
Well, there's Keem. That's a form of spiritual poetry. Very complex, often full of double meanings, hidden wisdom. They have to master that.
Poetry, too? Okay.
They learn miwasit, which is the specific art of chanting lamentations. And of course, Zimar, the actual melodies for the divine liturgy. They also learn ancient chants believed to have healing properties. They perform specific ritual dances that are part of worship.
Ritual dances, wow.
Yes, and they accompany the priests in liturgical dramas. It's an incredibly broad skill set.
That's just astonishing. It's not just performance. It's like embodying the entire artistic and spiritual heritage.
Exactly. Their role really shows how Ethiopian Orthodoxy is presented in these sources as a truly living faith, where art, music, poetry, spirituality, they aren't separate boxes. They're woven together, essential to how worship happens.
And it all comes back to that oral transmission.
Always. Their entire repertoire, chants, poems, dances, it's all remembered, inherited, lived, passed down heart to heart.
So if we try to pull all these threads together now, the ancient, maybe divinely inspired origins, the living oral tradition, The different modes for different spiritual feelings, the symbolic instruments, the dedicated Debtera. What's the final takeaway? What's the real essence of this music according to the source material?
Well, the synthesis offered is pretty powerful. It suggests that in a world that's often just full of noise, this sacred music stands apart. It's pure, it's ancient, it's deeply intentional.
It's not just for enjoyment.
Right. It's not music that just moves your body. It's specifically designed to elevate the soul. Through those ancient chants, the grounding beat of the Kebero, the clarifying sound of the sistrum, the tradition sees this as a way the church actually touches the eternal.
Touching the eternal through sound.
Yes. It's not background atmosphere. It's defined as the voice of the church, crying out across generations, a song of heaven echoing on earth.
That phrase really lands. The voice of the church across time.
It does. And the final reflection really is that this music isn't just an art form attached to the religion. It's presented as a spiritual life expressed in sound.
How so?
It teaches doctrine, it's part of healing practices, it sanctifies the space and the people in it. It connects worshipers, tangibly to their history, stretching back centuries, and also points them towards their future in eternity.
It makes you think, even when things are silent, maybe our souls are still meant to sing.
That's a beautiful way to capture the feeling, yeah.
And that kind of leads into a final thought, doesn't it? An invitation, almost from the sources.
It is. It's an invitation to simply listen differently. If you ever encounter sounds like that deep Kebero drum beat, or a chant that feels ancient, especially in a sacred setting.
Pause.
Exactly. Just pause. Don't just register it as noise or music. Really listen.
Because, as these sources suggest we consider, maybe in those very sounds,
heaven is speaking.
something profound to think about.